found the spectacle of Gaza bearing his soul rather distasteful.
He bared it, moreover, like Gypsy Rose Lee, with an expertise born of practice, and after being grilled by reporters with almost every question except...
When did you stop beating your wife?
He received a round of applause. It was not the media's most glorious moment.
Another person who was not fooled by Gaza's conversion was Cheryl Gascoigne herself, who spoke out on Wednesday.
Gaza cover-up.
Cheryl says talk of therapy is a sham.
Gaza's wife yesterday dismissed with contempt his tear-jerking promise never to hit her again. Glamorous Cheryl Gascoigne,
32,
slammed his claims that they had therapy together with...
I haven't seen him since the night of the attack.
Just 24 hours earlier, the soccer idol declared...
I'm getting counsel off two separate people. One is personal and one is with my wife.
But Cheryl said...
That's news to me.
Of course, if you go for counselling these days, your pain confessions are likely to end up in the sleaziest newspapers, or maybe even in the Daily Mail.
Fergie, Her Secret Life.
By Alan Starkey.
For 4 years, Dr. Alan Starkey was the Duchess's counsel, confidant, business advisor and friend. He discussed her most intimate affairs and travelled the world with her, all the time keeping a detailed diary. While Starkey is a less than edifying character...
Tut tut. This is the Daily Mail, after all.
There can be little doubt about the accuracy of his words, which paint a damning portrait of a woman who all but brought the royal family to its knees.
As Starkey tells it,
Life with her was like faulty tires.
it certainly made sad reading, but even more sad was the Duchess's own story as revealed in Hello magazine.
When my fairy tale life was reduced to cinders.
Explained the Express.
The Duchess of York told her side of the story yesterday and invited the world to feel as sorry for her as she does for herself. And in cringe-making quotes that will embarrass her friends, never mind the royal family, she compares herself to Cinderella.
Even at my dizzy height of popularity, I knew that the clock would strike 12 and I'd be seen for what I was. Unworthy, unattractive, unaccomplished. My days were always numbered. The clock tower was chiming 9, 10, 11... My coach was reverting to pumpkinhood before my eyes.
She was referring, of course, to those notorious Daily Mirror photographs of her poolside frolics with her financial advisor, Johnny Bryan, although she now wanted us to believe that it had been less steamy than it had appeared.
For the record, no sucking of toes had taken place in the south of France, a fact soberly acknowledged by the Los Angeles Times.
That does not now appear to be the case.
John and I were actually playing at Cinderella when the picture was snapped.
That's what it was, then.
The whole scene was not nearly as intense as it was made to look.
Yet one aspect of the Starkey revelation certainly gave Evening Standard columnist Matthew Norman cause for worry.
Dr. Starkey reports that Fergie liked Mr. Bryan to arouse her with the words,
You are a tart. You are a slut.
He further reveals that the Duke of Edinburgh once called her
A whore.
They're a lovely family, aren't they? But Prince Philip must be more careful in future when chatting with the Duchess, or God only knows where it might not lead.
Perhaps he would help pay off her overdraft, for according to Dr. Alan Starkey...
At one dinner party, a rich Arab prince asked if there was anything he could do for her. She replied,
You could pay off my overdraft.
The man eventually deposited £50,000 in her account after a single kiss.
The Duchess of York and Alan Starkey, she allegedly richer by £100,000 from the Hello serialisation, and he by £170,000, thanks to the Daily Mail, were not the only persons for sale in this sorry episode. The most naff feature of the week appeared in the Express.
In the beginning, there were the secrets betrayed by the toe-sucking financial advisor. Then came the revelations from Madame Vasso, followed by another traitorous book, and then the Duchess of York's own sanitised version of events. Now we can bring you the previously untold story from none other than...
The manicurist.
The Fergie Files.
Get it?
As manicurist to the Duchess of York, Sandra Stokes knows those nails and toes better than anyone.
Even Johnny Bryan.
Sandra began working for the Duchess shortly after the royal wedding in 1986 and has remained in her loyal employ ever since.
Loyal.
Now Sandra has decided to tell her side of the story.
Well, everyone else has.
It was pretty thin stuff, written up in interview format. In addition to being a manicurist and, of course, a pedicurist, Sandra Stokes rejoices in another, more curious job description.
How would you describe yourself?
I am a movement practitioner. My mother started it and I developed it.
Developed what?
Look at the animals in the jungle, how they move. We lost all that from tension, from travelling.
The Duchess has certainly done plenty of that.
We need time for ourselves. I teach people how to regain it.
The Independent columnist Suzanne Moore was convinced that the last thing these self-flagellating celebrities needed was more time to themselves.
Nicholas Scott is not drunk because he takes painkillers. Fiona Campbell is not a cheat because she has admitted it and re-walked those extra miles, as if anyone cares. Fergie is not a national disgrace because she has confessed, "I am a national disgrace." And Gaza is a changed man, a reformed wife-beater, because Glenn Hoddle wants him to be.
And her conclusion:
Being famous means never having to say you're sorry, only that you feel sorry for yourself.
The themes of self-pity and lack of shame were neatly captured by the Mail's pocket cartoonist Mahood.
What a day. I've had Fergie and Gaza in for counselling.
Good night.
Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now? Whose heart is aching for breaking each vow? Who's sad and blue? Who's crying too? Just like I cried over you.
As a doctor, people often ask me, are all operations strictly necessary? Well, the short answer is yes. And yes, we always wash our thermometers in between patients. We all drink a sensible amounts of alcohol, and we find all our patients a pleasure to treat. Oh yes, and all surgeons are equally good. I mean, have you ever seen a botched nose job? The truth is, some medical treatments have no scientific backing. So, should you believe a word we say? Find out on Trust Me, I'm a Doctor, Thursday. Wednesday! BBC2, 8 o'clock. Honest.
For expert